The Galactic Council had never seen a delegation like the humans. For centuries, countless species had come to the vast orbiting station, each more alien than the last. Tentacles, multiple eyes, bioluminescent skin, every kind of form existed here. But humans were different. Not because of their appearance, they were small, unarmored, fragile in comparison, but because of something in the way they moved, the way they carried themselves. There was a quiet confidence about them that no other species could quite understand. Ambassador Lyra Kale stepped forward as her delegation entered the council chamber. Her eyes swept the room with calm authority. Behind her, 4 human guards moved in perfect synchrony, their presence understated yet impossible to ignore. They wore sleek black suits that gleamed faintly under the council's lights. Each guard carried no visible weapons, only a set of subtle tools embedded in their uniforms, unknown to the aliens yet powerful. The council members whispered among themselves. "Why do humans need guards?" "They are diplomats, not warriors," said a tall, silver-scaled alien named Thrin. His voice rattled in the chamber like wind through metal tubes. A smaller, green-skinned alien with oversized ears called Vika tilted her head. "Perhaps they are fragile. Perhaps they are afraid." Lyra Kale did not respond. She knew the eyes of the council were on her delegation, as if expecting them to make the first mistake. But humans did not panic. Humans did not rush. Humans moved with thought and patience. The first session began. The council's circular chamber stretched high above, its walls lined with monitors showing stars and distant planets. Each species had its place, marked by a floating holographic panel that identified them. Humans occupied a central position, a neutral spot among the oldest and most powerful civilizations. A dispute arose almost immediately. 2 alien species, the Krelans and the Drovans, had been arguing over a mining territory near a young star. The Krelans, who resembled enormous armored beetles, demanded exclusive rights. The Drovans, serpentine and shimmering, insisted it was a shared zone. Voices rose and alien energy pulses filled the room as they argued. Humans remained silent. Their guards stood just behind them, each scanning the chamber, eyes flicking between delegates. A subtle tension hung in the air, a pressure that the aliens could feel but could not name. Then, without a word, the human guards moved slightly forward, positioning themselves to subtly block the path between the Krelans and the Drovans. Their movement was careful, almost imperceptible, but the effect was immediate. The 2 arguing parties, who had been inches from physical confrontation, hesitated. Energy pulses dimmed slightly. The room's temperature seemed to drop. Thrin leaned closer to Vika. What are they doing? Are they threatening us?" Vika's eyes widened. "I do not know. I feel something. They are not attacking, yet the air is different." Lyra Kale stood. Her voice, calm but firm, carried across the chamber. "Honored delegates of the Galactic Council, we come in peace. Yet we are here to represent humanity, and humanity will act to protect its rights and interests. We ask that this discussion proceed with respect and patience." Her words were simple, almost ordinary, yet they carried weight. The aliens could feel the authority behind them. The Krelans muttered among themselves, trying to maintain their anger, but it faltered. The Drovans hissed, confused by the sudden calm. As the meeting continued, the humans' guards remained alert, silent, and perfectly synchronized. Whenever an alien delegate leaned too close to another or tried to manipulate the council's energy fields, a guard subtly stepped in, placing a hand or foot to block or redirect, not violently, not aggressively, but with precise timing that forced the aliens to reconsider their actions. It was unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. No species had ever used their guards in such a strategic, psychological manner. Most civilizations relied on technology, telepathy, or sheer intimidation. Humans relied on presence. Their presence conveyed discipline, readiness, and unity. One Krelan delegate, frustrated, slammed a claw against their console, causing sparks to fly. Immediately, 2 human guards moved forward, stepping between the Krelan and the Drovans, their posture calm but unyielding. The Krelan froze. Something in those silent, watchful figures made him realize that any rash action would fail, and possibly backfire. Lyra Kale continued, speaking to the council as a whole. "We understand disputes arise, but let us resolve them with dialogue, not threats. Violence benefits none here." The aliens exchanged uneasy glances. Some whispered in their own languages, trying to interpret the human strategy. Others, more cautious, simply watched. By the end of the first session, the argument between the Krelans and Drovans had cooled. A temporary compromise was suggested. No one had drawn a weapon. No one had escalated. And all had noticed the human guards still standing silently behind their diplomats, their presence alone having prevented a potential crisis. Outside the chamber, in the corridors of the Galactic Council, whispers spread like wildfire. "Humans they control without fighting," said one. "It is impossible," said another. "They are small, fragile, yet we obey without orders." Lyra Kale walked through the hall, her guards close behind. She allowed herself a brief glance at them. Each was alert, scanning, yet perfectly composed. They did not speak. They did not relax. They did not blink unnecessarily. They were more than protection. They were strategy incarnate. Later, in a smaller conference room, the human delegation met privately. The guards stayed outside, yet remained within view of the door. Lyra Kale sat at the table, reviewing the notes of the meeting. "This was only the first session," she said quietly. "They are curious, but some will test us. We must remain vigilant." One of the younger diplomats, a man named Terran, looked concerned. "Do you think they will understand? That we are not here to dominate, but to protect and negotiate?" Lyra smiled faintly. "They will understand eventually. Humans always make themselves understood. Sometimes it takes time, and sometimes it takes patience. That is why our guards are here, not to threaten, but to ensure we have the space to be heard. Their presence shows unity, strength, and calm authority." Meanwhile, across the council, representatives of other species were already analyzing the humans' methods. Some attempted to mimic the subtle positioning, trying to achieve the same effect with their own guards. Others simply watched, noting the extraordinary discipline of the humans. In the evening, as the council's artificial sky shifted to a deep purple, Lyra walked alone to the observation deck. She looked down at the stars, thinking of Earth. Humanity had not yet fought a true interstellar war, yet humans were already proving themselves capable of holding their own among the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. Not through firepower, not through intimidation, but through something deeper: strategy, unity, patience, and unwavering calm. Her communicator beeped softly. One of her guards had sent a subtle alert. A member of the Drovans had been attempting to hack the council's systems remotely. Lyra did not panic. She merely signaled, and within moments, 2 guards were in the corridor outside the Drovans' quarters, invisible to the untrained eye, monitoring and ready to intervene if necessary. It was a delicate dance, one that no other species could have executed without escalating into chaos. Humans had mastered this dance naturally. That night, as the council rested, aliens whispered to one another in hushed tones. "Why do humans need guards? And yet, why do we fear making them angry even without reason?" The answer was not violence. The answer was presence. Humans understood power in ways the galaxy had rarely seen, and their guards, silent, disciplined, ever watchful, were the perfect embodiment of that power. By the next morning, the council awaited the second session with a new respect and a new caution. Every species knew that the humans were unlike any delegation they had ever encountered. Their diplomats were calm, articulate, and firm. Their guards were silent, disciplined, and unnerving. Together they formed a force that no one could quite challenge, without even raising a weapon, and that was the human way. The next day, the Galactic Council chamber buzzed with tension. Word had spread overnight. Humans were not ordinary diplomats. Every species attending the council whispered among themselves, each trying to understand the strange combination of calm authority and unspoken power that accompanied Ambassador Lyra Kale and her delegation. The humans entered the chamber quietly. Behind them, their 4 guards moved in perfect synchrony, their steps silent on the polished floor. Every eye in the chamber followed them, and yet no one could understand why they felt uneasy in their presence. Humans were smaller, weaker, even delicate-looking, but there was something in their posture, in their discipline, that commanded attention. The council session began. A new crisis awaited. The Drovans and Krelans had returned with allies, now attempting to challenge Earth's claim to a valuable trade route near the Aurealis system. Unlike the previous day, this argument involved far more species, and tensions escalated quickly. Energy pulses flashed as the delegates prepared for confrontation. Lyra Kale stood, her expression calm, Honored delegates, we are here to resolve this issue peacefully. Humanity seeks fair trade and mutual respect. Let us proceed without threats. Her words were clear, but the chamber was thick with suspicion and ambition. The Krelans bared their claws ready to strike while the Drovans hissed, sending subtle energy pulses toward the humans' table. In seconds, what could have become chaos was interrupted. The human guards moved. Not violently, not aggressively, but deliberately. They spread slightly to block any direct line between the most aggressive delegates. They positioned themselves near the consoles where energy weapons could be activated. Their stance was calm yet firm, almost like an invisible barrier that told every alien in the room, "You will not escalate this without consequences." Thrin, the silver-scaled veteran of many council sessions, leaned toward Vika. "I do not understand. They are not attacking, yet we hesitate." Vika's ears twitched nervously. "I feel the same. There is in control here, not from words, not from weapons, but from presence, and that was the secret. Humans did not rely on aggression. They relied on control of the environment and the minds of those around them. The guards acted as extensions of their diplomats, silently shaping the chamber, guiding the behavior of everyone present without firing a single shot. The debate continued. The Drovans attempted to manipulate the council's energy field to favor their allies. But one human guard subtly moved near the control panel, his hand brushing against the interface. Instantly, the field adjusted, neutralizing the interference. No one noticed the intervention directly, yet its effect was clear. The humans' plan worked without confrontation. Lyra spoke again, calmly but firmly. "We understand the importance of trade routes. Humanity does not seek to dominate, only to share and protect. Let us resolve this without endangering others or violating council rules." Some delegates tried to test the humans, attempting small acts of sabotage or intimidation, yet each time the guards responded instantly, silently, without aggression. A tentacle blocked a Drovan's energy pulse. A claw gently but firmly pressed a lever that would have caused chaos. The aliens began to realize that every action they took was anticipated and neutralized with precision. Finally, a Krelan delegate, frustrated beyond patience, slammed their claws on the table and shouted, "Why do humans need guards?" "What are they hiding?" Lyra did not flinch. She replied simply, her voice steady. "Our guards are not here to hide anything. They are here to protect the space in which dialogue occurs. Their presence ensures discussion is respectful, safe, and productive. That is all." But the effect of her words went deeper than explanation. The Krelans, though proud and aggressive, could not ignore the silent power behind those guards. Even the most skeptical council members noticed how the humans' strategy had calmed a potentially violent situation without a single attack. Slowly, realization dawned across the chamber. The human guards were more than protection. They were a statement of discipline, unity, and resolve. They demonstrated the unique human approach. Humans would act decisively to protect themselves and their values, but not without thought, strategy, and fairness. Terran, the young diplomat, noticed the subtle shift among the other delegates. Eyes that had been suspicious now regarded the humans with a mixture of respect and caution. "They understand," he whispered to Lyra. "Yes," Lyra replied softly. "They are beginning to understand what we always knew. Strength is not measured by size, claws, or energy pulses. Strength is measured by patience, discipline, and the ability to act when necessary." Hours passed as debates continued. The humans listened, made clear arguments, and remained calm, letting the guards handle subtle interventions. No one could challenge them openly without revealing themselves to the watchful eyes of the guards. The room was a complex dance of words, signals, and subtle movements. Yet humans were always in control, not through force, but through presence and preparation. By the final hour, the council had come to a resolution. The trade route would be shared equitably, with humans overseeing certain sections to ensure fairness. No energy weapons had fired. No species had escalated into violence. And yet every delegate present had felt the unspoken message. Humans do not back down, and they act decisively to protect what they believe is right. After the session ended, delegates gathered in private, discussing what had occurred. "Humans are strange," one whispered. "Small, fragile, and yet impossible to provoke," another added. "Their guards, it is not about weapons. It is about unity, discipline, presence. We could not fight them even if we wanted to." Even the most skeptical species, those who prided themselves on power and cunning, were beginning to rethink their assumptions. Humans had a way of winning respect without conflict, simply by being prepared, disciplined, and calm. Back in the human delegation's quarters, Lyra reviewed the session. Her guard stood outside, alert, monitoring the area. She turned to Terran. "Do you see what they have learned?" Terran nodded. "They understand that our guards are more than protection. They are a statement. They are humans." Lyra smiled faintly. "Exactly. And that understanding will carry forward. From this day, humanity's presence in the Council is recognized not only as diplomacy, but as strength. Strength guided by intellect, patience, and strategy." Later, as the humans walked through the observation deck, Lyra looked down at the stars. She thought of Earth, of the countless generations who had built humanity's resilience. Her eyes lingered on the tiny blue planet far below. Humans had faced wars, natural disasters, and countless challenges. Each struggle had strengthened them, forged a species capable of discipline, creativity, and courage. "Every lesson we have learned has led to this," she said softly. Her guards flanked her silently, ever watchful. "We are not the largest or strongest species, but we are humans. And that is enough." Meanwhile, across the Council, aliens continued to speculate. Some were inspired, others wary, but all had recognized one undeniable truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. By the evening, news spread throughout the Council station. Humans had resolved the crisis without aggression, without sabotage, and without compromise to their dignity or safety. Other species began to study human behavior, trying to understand how a small, seemingly fragile species could wield such influence. And the answer, quietly understood by all, was this: humans did not rely on violence, intimidation, or technology alone. They relied on discipline, unity, intelligence, and unwavering calm. Their guards were not merely protectors, they were the embodiment of human strategy, an extension of the diplomats themselves. Through them, the galaxy finally understood what humans could achieve. As the Council lights dimmed and the chamber emptied, Lyra Kale allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. She turned to her guards. "You have done well. Today the galaxy learned why we do not attend Council meetings unprepared. It is not fear. It is responsibility. It is strategy. It is humanity." The guards stood silently as always, but Lyra knew they understood. Their presence, their discipline, their readiness had not only protected the delegation, but had changed the perception of humans across the entire Council. And as humans prepared to leave the Council chamber for the day, a new respect had been earned. Not for weapons, not for intimidation, not for alien powers, but for the quiet, unshakable strength of humanity itself. The Galactic Council would never forget the day it discovered why human diplomatic guards attended every meeting. Humans were not fragile. Humans were not ordinary. Humans were disciplined, united, and unyielding in their resolve, and the galaxy had just learned to respect them.